You're listening to the Educating Aiden podcast. Learning things he should probably have already known, one conversation at a time. Here's your host, Aiden.
Hey folks, thanks for joining us. Today's episode is going to be slightly more serious. We're going to touch on the topic of mental health. Today I have with me a long-term friend of mine. He is an accredited member of the British Association of Counselling, Psychotherapy. He's a mental health counsellor and a clinical supervisor. His name's Niall Heron. Niall, how you doing, bud?
Fantastic, Aiden. Thank you. It's great to be here. It's great having me on board. That sounds very impressive. Kind of, wow. That sounds very serious.
You sent that to me, remember?
I know. I wish I had.
Niall, how's your day, bud?
It's been fantastic, Aiden. Out and about the country, working with people, trying to support them as best I can. So
fantastic.
It's nice to come here and do something totally different. A bit of a head shift away from the kind of day-to-day work that I do, to be here and actually talk a wee bit more about the work that I do as well, and get this information out there. So superb being here, and thank you for the opportunity.
You're very welcome.
I know.
Very welcome. Well, now, if you've been on social media, which you probably have, you'll see the term mental health bandied around on Instagram, Facebook, all the social medias. What is mental health?
A fantastic question, Ian. But first, I'm going to throw one right back at you and ask you, if I said to you the word mental, what do you automatically think of first?
Mental head, I suppose.
Okay. What else?
Mental.
All the terminology we hear.
Crazy. Mental. Somebody's mental. Yeah.
Crazy, nuts, psycho. Yeah.
Yeah. Stuff like that.
It's usually all the negative connotations.
Yeah.
When we think of mental. Mental is really just to do with our brain. It's our mind. That's all it is.
Oh, okay.
That's all mental is. So therefore, if I ask you the question, which you asked me, what is mental health? It's basically how well our mind works.
How healthy your
how
mind
healthy
is.
it is and how well it works. And that basically is what mental health is about. And there is so much social media saturation now about mental health, especially with young people our age, and the older generation as well.
What do you mean our age? I'm significantly younger than you.
Well, the older generation that I mentioned there.
Well, now, how did you get started as a counsellor? Is it something that you just fell into, or was there something that brought you to it?
Yes, loads of life events as a young person that as a male I didn't talk about. So any painful experiences, any kind of rejections, any traumas, I buried them, and they come out through destructive behaviours.
Oh.
So this led on, the more destructive behaviour, the more negative and unhelpful the thinking became. So it came to a crisis point. Actually, the crisis point was in 1999. A very significant year. And in one part of the year, it was the most fantastic year I had to that point.
Yes. And
at the end of it, it was almost the most soul-crushing year I had as well. So at one part of the year, my son was born.
Yes.
And at the end of the year, my dad died.
Oh, man.
So in the same year, I became a father, and the same year, I lost my father.
Oh, dude.
So that was a huge turning point for me at that particular time. It led me on to get my own help. Yes. My own support. I met a fantastic guy who I went to for counselling. Got a lot of support, a lot of help through him. And when I came out the other side of that, now it wasn't short term. It took quite a few years to get me in a better place. I took a good look at my life and realised working construction, I wasn't happy.
Oh, that's what you were doing before you were construction?
That's what I did, worked construction. Done factory work, done construction work, drove vans for a living. But they were all jobs to get some money.
Yeah.
And go out at the weekend and live it up like any young person would do. So this is kind of way back, early 20s, 22, 23, 24, living for the weekend. That's all I did. That's all what the crack was about. Go out, live it up Monday morning and go back and do the daily grind. But I got to a point where I was kind of almost soul destroyed. There was no happiness, no joy. I wasn't having a purpose. So at that point, I was actually fundraising. I was searching. There was a lot of searching going on. I was volunteering with Age Concern as a befriender. I was helping out in a special needs club, young adults with learning difficulties. So quite clearly, I was trying to help.
Yes.
And I was either being led into helping, or there was a natural kind of helper vibe about me that was coming out. I was fundraising for the Ulster Cancer Foundation at the time. I was doing a hike up Ben Nevis. And I don't want to sound like it was a religious thing, because I'm not religious, but it was kind of almost more spiritual. So this was like October 2004, I think. Halfway up Ben Nevis, trudging through the mist, and it was cold in October, so you can imagine what it was like.
Is terrible.
I hadn't a clue about hiking. I rocked over there, hired a pair of hiking boots that maybe 300 or 400 people had worn before me. The old clammy, wet leather feel of them.
There's no better feeling than someone else's sweat in your feet.
It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And only enough money to hire one walking stick.
You didn't have the pair, just the one.
Just the one. But it was kind of halfway up, and most of the track up was looking at the person's feet in front of me.
Yeah.
I was just, the head was down.
Trundling along.
And we took a break. And I happened just to look up and look out over the Scottish Highlands. And it was almost like this opening of the clouds, whatever you want to call it. And I just looked up and I thought, wow, there's so much more out there. There's a beauty. There's an amazing place in the world. And I just thought, you know what? I'm coming down to here and I'm doing something different. So I come down, I don't want to sound like Moses coming down to the mountain. Nothing biblical like that. But I did come down, I got back home, and I made changes. I ended a relationship I was very unhappy with. Mm-hmm. And on January of the following year, I entered into a certificate in counselling. So it was Introduction to Counselling. Completed that, and of September the following year, I entered into the, it would be the certificate level, so level 3 in counselling. And that led me on to level 4, and then my advanced diploma that I graduated 2008 through Queen's University. So that's basically a brief kind of synopsis of how I got into being a counsellor. So I came down, found that I wanted to help people, found that there was more stuff in life that I want to do, I want to engage in, that the toys of the past weren't satisfying me anymore, and I wanted something different. So I came down and made the changes I needed to make, got the support, got the help I needed to, and entered into a new course. Now, I didn't know at the end of the course if I would enjoy it or not, but I gave it a go. I tried it. It scared the hell out of me because there was something totally new. I hadn't done education in about 13 years. When I was typing up my essays, I was using text speak.
Oh, you're using shorthand.
And it was the old phones. I know the guy on last week talked about phones, but this is where we only had so many characters. My kind of essays were,
all shorthand.
you know. But from that, I thought, this is good. This is interesting. I think I can get a handle on this. So done the next 2 courses, graduated, and very lucky to actually get a job straight away.
Lovely.
I'd finished construction about 2 years previous. I was on a building site in Dublin. It was horrible. A horrible experience. Really cold, wet Dublin building site. I thought, you know what? This is the last winter I'm working on a bloody building site. Because I was volunteering in AIDS Concern, when I was leaving the elderly chap back, the head care assistant said, "We have a job, would you like to apply for it?" I said, "Look, I have no qualifications." He said, "No, but you have 6 months in a caring role."
So the stars aligned?
Apply, yeah. So I applied for it. I didn't get the job.
Oh, the stars did not align. They did not align at all.
But what I did do was the next day on a building site in Cullinane, I walked off my digger, which I was driving a digger at the time, and I walked into the local nursing home. Now you have to imagine this was kind of the middle of summer at this point, covered in dust. Mm-hmm. Walking into a nursing home, everybody nice and pristine in nice uniforms, and me tramping in, swarthy skin, covered in dust. Any application forms for a job, and they took a look at me and they gave me a form, and thankfully 2 weeks later I had an interview, and 2 weeks later I started with them.
Wow.
So in the winters I went to the nursing home and worked there, and then in the summer I went back to construction.
And what were you doing in the nursing homes?
I was care assistant, so I was giving personal care to the elderly residents of the nursing home.
Yeah.
And
that's such a polar opposite of what you were doing before.
Huge change.
You know, it's a massive change. You're going from literally busting your balls to
wiping.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but you know, you're going from a heavy labor job to actually making a difference to somebody's life.
Yeah, but the care assistant role is very hard too because it's quite heavy. There's a lot that gives a lot of joy in it, and I loved being around the elderly and having the crack with them.
Yeah.
Because they just want a bit of banter.
Of course.
They just want a bit of fun, somebody to talk to them, somebody to chat to them. And I got a real rapport with them.
Yeah.
And it was actually very sad to leave the place.
Which nursing home was it?
I'm allowed to mention that.
Yeah.
Ashbrook.
Ashbrook.
Home in Killiney.
Oh, yeah, down Clino.
Clino.
Oh, lovely, yeah.
Yeah. Met some fantastic friends, people I'm still friendly with today.
Fantastic.
It's a great experience.
Do you want to say hello?
Hello, everybody, if you're watching.
Fantastic. No, we had I recorded another podcast with a lady. She does the Order of Malta, and she goes down to Sandville there. She gets stuck in there if somebody needs transport.
Yeah.
She offers a great service there.
Yeah.
I think she does Ashbrook as well. I'm not sure.
Could do. It was heavy work. So any care assistant out there doing it today, hands up, massive respect to you, because it's a lot of hard work and the pay isn't that great.
Yeah, it's actually something my grandmother done for a long time, because she lived right across from Sandville, you see.
Ah, okay.
And my mum done it as well. Well, our girls done it.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It is
tough work.
But so rewarding.
So what, you went from being a care worker in the winter, and then what did you do in the summer?
Back to construction.
Back to construction.
Back to construction. I was still able to, because I still had my licenses and stuff like that, I was still able to get the construction work, driving digger, plant machines. So it was better money in the summer, plus I wasn't studying. But I do remember travelling to Dublin in a van on a Monday morning at about 6 o'clock, hitting Dublin, doing a day's work, and coming back up that evening to go to college, to go to university.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of the guys laughing at me because I had the books out highlighting all these different quotes that I had to put in these essays, you know. But that was kind of that one winter I said, I'm having enough of this, I can't do it. But still that progress, to be able to step out of that to do something different.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's quite similar to what Adam was on last week, and he had the same kind of revelation where his job was just destroying his soul.
Yeah.
You know. And he didn't go on to do a vocational job like yourself that's out helping people. He's doing something to help him, which is great too.
He didn't fix my HTC screen.
No, he did not.
He did not.
He did not.
I got your number.
He did not. But it's amazing how many people are getting up in the morning, dreading getting up, because they're going out to do this job that they despise.
But there's a sense. Well, I think it's like almost pardon the term, it's like a modern day slavery.
Yeah.
We have all these things up, but it's accumulating debt.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're chained to a job we don't enjoy because we feel we can't get out of it, because we have to pay the car, we have to pay the washing machine, we have to pay the house, we have to pay the phone. All these things that we're paying off every month that kind of keep us chained to something we're not happy doing. Mm. And there's it does crush your soul.
Yeah.
You know, and there's an unhappiness. And to fix that unhappiness, then we think we have to buy more. Instant gratification. And whether that comes in the form of alcohol, drugs, sex addiction, self-harm, fast food, comfort eating. There's all these different behaviours that are a combination of what's going on in the mind. Yeah. And I suppose bringing it gently back to the whole mental health aspect. If you're looking at the thoughts, what thought is empowering the feeling? So if somebody's feeling anxious,
why?
They're worried about something.
Yeah.
And if anybody's prone to anxiety, any kind of study of psychology will tell us anybody who's anxious is focusing on the future. Anybody who's depressed is focusing on the past. So if you're anxious, you're kind of thinking about 10 steps down the road. What's going to happen? What's the worst? I'm going to look like a fool. I'm going to look like an idiot. This is going to go wrong.
Yeah.
I'm going to screw this up.
It's all future tense.
If anybody's prone to depression, it's all, that's terrible. I should have done that. Why did I not do that? Mm. And it could be the coulda, shoulda, woulda, especially in grief work as well. You'll get that. So somebody who's bereaved, they might go into, I could have done this. I should have done that. Yes. I would have done that. Mm. So they're very much looking at the past, and that will bring about. So any kind of thoughts will have an effect on feelings. So we're talking about CBT basically.
What is CBT?
Cognitive behavioral therapy. And please nab me for any terminology I throw out at you.
Yeah, I will. Don't worry, because I'm afraid of sitting here going, yeah. No, I'm going to stop you and make sure I know what, because this is the whole point of the show.
Well, cognitive behavioral therapy basically, so cognitions. So your thoughts.
Cognitions is what? Your thoughts. Okay.
So your thoughts impact your behaviors.
Yes.
But if you look at it, we kind of look at it in a 5-area model.
Okay.
So we're in the center of that model. Okay. So you have, it's almost like a hot cross bun.
Right.
You okay with imagining a hot cross bun?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So a hot cross bun, we're the little gel, we're the little bit of strawberry jam in the center of that bun.
I just realized I don't actually know what a hot cross bun is.
Somebody educate this man on a hot cross bun.
I used to be a baker.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
It's really bad. I know the song. I know the song "Hot Cross Bun." Me and Anthony sing it all the time. But I've never had a hot cross bun in my life.
You want to sing for the?
No.
No. Okay.
Hot cross. So
if you think of if you had an A4 page,
yeah,
and you draw a line down the center and a line across the middle, you've got your 4 sections.
Yes.
And we're in the center of that point.
Okay.
So let's say the top left-hand corner is your thoughts.
Okay.
Okay. Top right-hand corner is your feelings.
Yes.
Bottom right-hand corner is your physical sensations, so your physical feelings, and the bottom left-hand corner is your behaviors.
Okay.
So everything starts off with our thoughts. If you look at a definition of stress, and this is a definition of stress, I want you to tell me what the most important word in that definition is, okay? So one definition of stress is when we think the demands placed upon us exceed our ability to cope. What's the most important word?
Exceed.
Okay. Any other takers?
Oh.
So I'll say it again.
Cope.
When we think the demands...
When we think.
Yeah. All starts with our thoughts. Everything comes down to how we think about a situation. A very wise man once said, the problem is not the problem. The problem is the person's attitude towards the problem.
Yeah.
Do you know who that wise man was?
Was it you? Was it
well,
me?
I just said that.
Did I say that?
I did just say that. Sorry, and nobody. It wasn't you. It was the eminently wise Captain Jack Sparrow.
Oh, that's why, because I've never watched those movies. I'm like, who said that?
I didn't study him. But it's a lovely, simple term, isn't it? The problem isn't the problem. The problem is the person's attitude towards the problem.
Yeah.
It's how they think about a situation.
Because I'm sure everyone can think of a time where a small problem is suddenly a massive problem because somebody's just being a dick about it.
Being a dick, but also how our thought processes work, and it's one of the unhelpful thinking styles is catastrophizing.
Yeah.
So it's making that snowball effect. Where it starts off as a little pebble, but it gains momentum. And any energy is kinetic. So physical energy, if you go to the gym, if you walk, if you burn it off, you will actually have more energy.
Yeah.
Your emotional energy is the same. So if you have more positive energy, you're going to think more positively, feel more positively, do more things. And that will self-generate. The other way, if it's unhelpful, there's negative energy, it will be exactly the same.
Yeah.
So it will multiply. So people who are more prone to depression are having the negative thoughts. And the negative thoughts will lead into that feeling of depression.
So is it almost as though someone who is prone to depression, it's very easy to slip into the cycle of being depressed and feeling worse and feeling worse and feeling worse?
And it's a daily struggle for anybody who is in that, whether it's depression or anxiety. There's a great Jim Carrey quote, hope I get it right here. He said, depression is real. But if you're not looking after yourself, if you're not exercising, if you're not eating right, if you're not doing the things you need to do every day, are you giving yourself a fighting chance? But when somebody has depression, it's so hard even to get out of bed.
Yeah.
So hard to find that motivation.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to come to a therapist if you're feeling depressed.
I think it's very hard for someone who hasn't been there to understand that too.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to look at someone and go, would you just cheer up?
Yeah, get yourself on.
Yeah.
What have you got to feel down about?
Yeah.
And all those platitudes or cliches that we may get on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Where the benefit of coming to counselling is that therapist, that person will sit there and listen to you. They won't give you their cliches or platitudes. They won't go, that sounds terrible, but sure, get yourself on and come up.
Yeah.
They'll go, well, tell me more about that. Why are you feeling down? Let me try to understand what's going on for you.
Yeah.
And through that, I suppose, sharing of the person's thoughts and feelings, that will allow that person to get a better understanding of where they're at. Because sometimes it'll be the first time they've actually said it out loud.
Yeah.
And it's like me putting on these headphones this evening, the first time I've actually spoken through a mic with headphones. And it's a bit weird.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I'm so used to the sound of my own voice.
Yeah, I've noticed.
Anybody that knows me knows I love
I'm
to
not
talk.
talking about the podcast. I'm on about just general day to day. If you're with Niall, it's a pun every 2 sentences and he never shuts his face. But you touched on something there earlier, that people who are suffering from anxieties and depressions, they find it difficult to get up, but they find it difficult to go and seek that help.
Yeah.
So how does someone get to that stage where they what advice could you give to somebody that's hesitant, they're thinking, maybe I don't need the help just yet?
I will come to that if I don't bring me back to it,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you another question. If I
course.
said the word depression, what do you automatically think of?
This is going to be really bad. Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh.
But Eeyore's fantastic.
Yeah.
He always gets up and does it.
Yeah.
He joins in no matter what. Yeah.
You know, all the time.
Yeah.
So I suppose sadness.
Sadness. Anything else?
Sadness. Tiredness.
Yeah, no energy.
No energy.
So no motivation.
Yeah,
maybe
no
withdrawn.
direction.
Yeah.
No direction at all.
Those are the signs and symptoms that somebody with depression may have.
Mm.
Depression is an illness. And I think that's one of the most important things to remember. It's an illness.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to be ashamed about because we all get ill.
Yeah, we all do.
And it's that, I don't know if you know about the Cycle Against Suicide.
No.
They do tours every year. So they start off in Dublin, they'll take in so many different counties. I had the privilege of being part of it about 3 years ago, where I joined them in Craigavon and cycled through Cookstown up into Oma.
Was this to like raise money for suicide awareness?
To raise awareness.
Oh, just to raise
suicide.
awareness.
To raise awareness through suicide. Certainly there's a money raising aspect to it,
Yeah,
but this
of course.
is really about cycling from town to town.
Yeah.
But also the puns in there is breaking the chain of suicide.
Yes.
But it's also shoulder to shoulder. Because when you're cycling, you're side by side.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely fantastic being a part of those people. And everybody in that group was affected by suicide somehow. Whether they were suicidal themselves or whether they had been bereaved by suicide.
Yeah.
So the message I want to get across is to echo what their motto is. It's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
It's absolutely okay to feel shit. No matter how bad that feeling is. And it's not nice feeling like shit. But you know what? It's normal. If you're going through a life event that brings you down, it's okay not to feel okay. And I will come back to the getting help part in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Working in mental health, there's two factors that will affect our mental health. There's the stuff that's outside our control, and there's the stuff that we do. So I'll give you an example of outside our control. The weather.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, it's sunny, it's beautiful outside. You have me in this sweat box at the minute.
It is. If you can't tell, there's sweat literally dripping off both of us. And not in a sexy way. Just a regular way.
So that's one of the things that's outside our control. Can you think of anything else?
Outside our control. Well, I suppose other people's actions.
Absolutely. This can be positive and negative, by the way.
Oh, it can be both?
Yeah, because the weather's both, isn't it?
Oh,
so
yeah.
if it's a beautiful day, we're going to feel better.
I suppose other people's actions are both positive and negative too.
Absolutely.
Other people's actions, I suppose... I'm drawing a blank here.
So you've got, maybe if they're a young person, so it could be bullying, so other people's actions.
Yeah.
It could be family stuff. It could be neighbourhood stuff. It could be bereavements. It could be illness. All have an impact on our emotional well-being.
Yeah.
The other one is the stuff that we do, the stuff that we're in control of. So I'll give you another example. Exercise. Or lack of exercise.
What's that? No,
I think Matthew Rogers was on here a couple of weeks ago. Did you not explain to him, Matthew?
He did. I have to rewatch that podcast.
Did he get you signed up? He's very good, I have to say. I'm with Matthew, and a very nice man.
Everything he said was like, it was very enlightening. Yeah, of course. I don't. Yeah, a lot of stuff I don't do. A lot of stuff I still don't do. But when he was telling me about it, I was like, yeah, that all makes sense.
Yeah.
And it does make sense. I suppose mental health and physical health are very closely related in the sense of if you don't look after it, it's going to get poor.
Yeah. The Royal College of Psychiatrists' motto is, there is no health without mental health. So if you're not looking after your mind, everything else will be affected.
Yeah.
And if you look at a person's life, there's usually about 4 different areas. So your physical health, your psychological health, your social health. You've also got spiritual and religious health. But we normally, especially the work I do, focuses on physical, psychological and social health. Yeah. Those are the 3 main areas that I would work on when I'm working with an individual.
Yeah. And you as a counsellor, right? So for people that don't understand what a counsellor is, we got a great message question through social media.
Yes. Thank you, Stephen.
Stephen, was it? Yes. Well, Stephen asked, what is counselling?
Yes.
Essentially. Do you want to explain what that is?
Absolutely. I mean, you can have a definition, as BACP has a definition of what counselling is. There's online...
BCAP is...
BACP is the British Association of Counselling and Psychotherapy.
Oh, yes.
Of which I'm an accredited member.
Okay.
And I have been since being a student, basically. So any counsellor will be signed up to a specific organisation. So it could be the National Counselling Society, it could be British Association of Counselling, it could be the UKCP, BACP. So there's all different acronyms, different organisations.
Yeah.
So if you are going to a counsellor, try and always ensure they are signed up to one of those organisations, because as a therapist to the BACP, I am bound by their code of ethics.
Yes.
So I have to work within their guidelines.
Yeah.
So it means I have to work within my own competence levels. So it means I wouldn't work with somebody who has, say, bipolar disorder, who is much more complex mental health needs than I can work with.
Yes.
So I have to work safely. I have to make sure I'm okay to work with that individual.
Right.
Yeah. Because if I start getting out of my depth, then I'm not going to be the right support for that person, and I could do more damage.
Yes.
So I have to know where I'm coming from. So that comes from the training that I have,
Yeah.
but also from the guidelines set out by a governing body such as BACP.
Because mental health is so delicate.
It is.
You know,
is.
it.
And there is people out there that can be doing damage. I'll just put it like that. So if you're going to someone, they should be able to supply you with their maybe not accreditation, but membership and list of qualifications. So it's probably some of the things you may want to ask. I've been doing this qualified about 11 years, and I think I may have been asked once or twice to show my qualifications. Now I do have them in my office. They're up on my wall.
Yeah.
I was going to take them down until a client came in and said, that's reassuring to see that.
Yeah.
So I don't even have to tell them. They can come in and kind of have a look up and go, okay, well, he's got this, so he must be okay.
Yeah. Well, there's hardly a bunch of witch doctory kind of counsellors running around, is there? Do these people have to be worried of people printing off things from the internet and going, I'm a counsellor?
It's again looking at that term counsellor.
Yeah.
Because counsellor is basically somebody who gives guidance and gives support. That's a kind of an online dictionary kind of terminology for it. And a lot of people can term themselves as counsellor. BACP definition is really, counsel is an umbrella term for any of the talking therapies. So I mentioned CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, person-centred therapy, Gestalt, psychodynamic.
What was that one? Gestalt?
Gestalt. It's another form of therapy as well.
Okay.
You know, so there's loads of different types.
Yeah.
I'm not trained in Gestalt. My orientation would be person-centred. So very Rogerian, very humanistic approach. So it's about the core conditions. So that's empathy, congruence, unconditional and positive regard. So when a person comes into me, there's no judgment there.
Yeah.
There's a warm, empathetic welcome. And I try to meet that person at their age and stage, where I try to understand what they're going through. I have not gone through half the stuff my clients have gone through, but I try to understand where they're coming from, and that's empathy. So if you imagine you're on that side of the table, which you are, I'm on this side, but there's a wall between us. So I don't know what's on your side. So the empathy for me is, Steve, I was going to call you Stephen there for some reason. I don't know where that came from. The empathy for me, Aiden, is tell me what it's like over there for you.
Yeah.
What's going on for you over there? What have you got around you?
Well, I'm afraid that you nearly thought I was Stephen Nolan. That's what I'm afraid of.
This will be the biggest show in the country. How did you say it? You do look a bit like him. Just around the eyes.
I turn the cameras off. No, getting back to it, are there people out there that are essentially masquerading as counsellors that people need to be aware of?
I don't know of anybody personally who's doing that. I do know people are out there who can term themselves counsellors. So if you do want to go and get a counsellor, and I would always recommend you do, ask them a certain amount of questions. Ask to see their qualifications. Ask about their experience.
Because I asked these same questions to Matthew. Yeah. You know, he was a personal trainer, and it's very important that people know what they're getting into. Yeah. You know, before they start, especially when it comes to something like this.
Yeah. Because it is such a delicate issue. I used to do work for Lifeline, which was rapid response suicide de-escalation work. I'd done about 3 years with them. So I was sitting face to face with people who are very vulnerable.
This wasn't over the phone, no?
No, this was face to face. It was even before the time they moved away or moved into the phone. This was if a person who had been suicidal phone Lifeline, they'd be allocated out to a therapist such as myself.
Yes.
I'd then contact the person. I would have a week to arrange an appointment. And then I would have a face-to-face appointment, and then we'd have so many sessions to de-escalate that person, so to take the heat out of the fire, if you will, to bring them into a safe place. So it was almost like a bridging support as well. So to give them somewhere like an emergency where they could come in and kind of just get the stuff off their chest and bring them into a safer place, and then link them into longer term support if they needed it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That must have been a tough station, man.
It was heavy. It was heavy duty, and I think the 3 years done me in that. But I got my own support through my own supervisor as well, and any therapist will go to another qualified therapist who hopefully has a qualification in supervision and certainly experience in supervision as well, and that's clinical supervision. So that's where we would bring our client work, and if a client is presenting any issues to us, we can take it to supervision for discussion, and that's all anonymous and it's all safe and it's all bound by confidentiality.
That's cool. I suppose you guys need to keep yourself right, because you can't help someone if the workload and the things you're hearing are affecting your own mental health, essentially.
Well, that old cliche, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
So supervision for me, it serves 3 formats. So you've got the managerial stuff. Is your therapist, is my therapist, my supervisees, adhering to all the policies and procedures, whether it's the organisation or BACP? What is their client work? How is that going for them? Is there any issues coming up that's causing them any concern, any sense of stuckness? But also a supportive element. What's going on for them outside of counselling or work that's maybe having an impact on their work? So is somebody causing them hassle or strife? Is there a colleague? Is there a boss that's annoying them or winding them up? And if there is, they can come in and just get a bit of offload. It's not personal therapy.
Yeah.
And if it becomes the point where it becomes evident that this therapist needs personal therapy, I will signpost them to that.
And it's a very unique position because you don't get that in any other job.
No.
Know, if your boss is giving you crap, you just
have
to put up with it.
Or leave.
Yeah.
But it's great, and I've done work with organisations recently where a lot of it's been external supervision, where a lot of the work is they come in and they can offload. But because they have that facility to come in and just basically regurgitate it up, what's causing them stress or anxiety or concern during the week, they can come in to me, heave it all out, and you know what? Go out and be able to do their work better.
And do you think because of your training and you're able to spot issues that are happening maybe even with yourself a lot sooner than you would have before you trained?
I would love to say yes. I would love to go, yes, that is exactly correct. Sometimes we can.
Yeah.
But when we have a problem, sometimes it's like, and I kind of go into schools and do some work for another organisation, and I go into schools and deliver some education. We do some group work. And I kind of describe counselling as if you had writ a problem on your hand and it's like that all the time, what are you going to see?
You can see your hand. You're not going to see the problem.
Well, you're going to see the problem.
Well, you're going to see the problem, but you're going to see your hand.
That's all you're going to see.
Yeah.
No matter where you look. For counselling for me is someone helped me take a step back.
Yeah.
You know what? The hand isn't as big. The problem isn't as big. But there's also other options out there. There's somebody else in the room who might provide me with support. There's people out there listening that might be able to provide me with support.
Yeah. I've been rubbish at these questions so
far. You're fine, because I don't know where I'm going.
Every question you've asked me is like, try another answer. So tell me this, Niall. I don't want to get into any specifics, but what is the most common kind of mental health illness as such that you come across through your clients and through your work? I
suppose it depends on which area of work you're kind of talking about at the minute. Certainly I have a private practice, but I also work for Duluth Addiction Services, Belfast company. We have a project in the Southern Trust, so it covers Portadown, Dungannon, Armagh, Newry, etc. So through that, it's working with young people who are presenting with substance misuse or substance use, which can lead on to dependency as well.
Yes.
So out of that, a lot of the main themes is coming like anxiety.
Yeah.
And there's more and more anxiety being presented. Even in private work, I see a lot more anxiety being presented in the room as well.
What do you think's causing that?
Loads of different things. I mentioned earlier about all the pressures people are under. And now social media pressure as well for young people.
Yeah.
And there's loads of reports out there, even back as far as 2005, I think there's reports showing the impact of social media and too much time online, even online gaming platforms that increase the levels of anxiety.
Yeah.
And young people are living in this virtual world where everything they do is online. And there's very little tangible stuff anymore. There's no kind of arts and crafts anymore. There's nothing physical that they're doing or creating. It's all on the cloud or some platform in the ether somewhere, and they can't see it. Because we can't see it, does it really mean anything? But yet, if they created something, they can walk past and go, you know what? I'm quite proud of that.
Look at that thing I did.
Yeah, that looks, well, you know, I really like that. So that gives them a sense of wellness, of self-esteem. And one of the building blocks to good self-esteem is competence, is success. Success breeds success. Yeah. So if you do something and it goes well, you're going to be more encouraged to do something else, hopefully at a higher level. And in that way, you actually graduate. So the Latin for graduate is basically step up. So every time you graduate, you're stepping up to a different level.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Never looked at it that way.
That's the way it is.
So you're saying there's a lot of social media pressures.
Yes.
And that's not just on young people.
It's not. It's absolutely not. Also, back to the young people, there's also school pressures as well. To perform, to get good grades, get the right results, get into college, get into the proper jobs, whatever it is. But the young person's brain hasn't fully formed till it's 24, 25.
Really? 24, 25?
24, 25. That's when it actually fully forms to be in a functioning adult brain.
Right.
Because up until that point, the kind of brain looks at it right here, right now. What's good for me? And that's why a lot of young people, myself included, got into a lot of hassle and a lot of shit when they were young. Because we weren't thinking, what's the consequence of this?
Yeah.
We were thinking, what can I get away with? What can I do right now that's going to be a bit of crack and a bit of banter?
Yes.
And that's why there's so many people out there who are getting into hassle at a young age. Because they're not thinking forward. And that doesn't happen until a person's around about 23, 24, 25. People are mature a little bit differently, but it's generally around that. So you get like a quarter life crisis, quarter century crisis, where a lot of young people come in to me, but 24, 25, you know what? I'm not happy with what I'm doing. And it was actually what I had too. Because it was around that age I was going, you know what? I'm not happy with what I'm doing. Yeah. I want something else. I don't know what age your man Adam was from last week.
Yeah, he'd been in around 23, 24, 25.
No, it's not everybody. Everybody's can be different, so I don't want to generalize that everybody at 24, 25 they'll go with that way.
It's not like a switch flicks and what have I done? What have I done with my life?
I get a lot of parents coming in and go, you know, why is my child doing? Do you not think they know the damage they're going to do?
Yeah.
And in some sense they may have a bit of understanding, but the other sense is there's that sense of I'm immortal. I can do whatever I want. I'm not going to get caught. I'm not going to get injured. Let's go out and have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And you don't get that till you're 24, 25. You go, you know what? Shit, if I do that.
So that's what has happened to me. That's why I'm so afraid of everything now.
No, you're older than 25. Sorry, buddy. Yeah. Sorry to say that.
No, I didn't say it happened recently. I just remember being
this is why he's podcasting now. Folks.
I remember being so exuberant and full of like not giving a crap, and then all of a sudden going, oh no, where's my next paycheck coming from? Yeah. Where's this coming from? Yeah. How am I going to feed this? How am I going to support my family? Blah blah blah.
And you're starting to focus. You're starting to look ahead. And
when right ahead into that anxiety.
There you go. When you're 17, 18, being 30 is a million miles away.
Oh yeah.
But when you're 25, being 30 is shit. Yeah, it's right next door.
Yeah, because you're 18 and you're invincible. You're
carefree.
Next thing you know, you're 21. Next thing you know, I'm 25. Yeah. And you're going, where did those 8 years go to?
It's getting real at this point.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's not just young people who are feeling the pressure of anxiety, older people as well. Whether it's your age or up even to my age too. Because we have all these different pressures thrust upon us. We feel, maybe we feel or think we have to get the right car. We have to dress right. We have to go to a certain bar, a certain club, certain places. We have to go on a certain amount of holidays a year. Yeah. Because everybody else is doing it, so we should.
And do you think that's where the social media aspect of it comes in? Because you're literally seeing the highlights of somebody's life.
You're seeing people's perfect lives.
Yeah.
But you're not seeing what's going on behind that. You know, and people are posting up the perfect image of themselves, and why would they not? Because if that's what they want to put across, that's fine. Let them do that.
Well, you're not going to put across the worst image of yourself, you know.
But don't buy into it. You know, don't go home and say, "Jesus, their life's perfect. My life must suck because I'm not going on that holiday." And you get it around Christmas where people are posting hundreds of presents on a seat. Yeah. You know, and there's maybe families out there maybe have to go to the food bank. And And people and family go, well, Santa brought me this. Santa brought me a new iPhone. You know,
Yes.
Santa loves me. And there's another parent who can't afford that.
Yeah.
You know, to pay Santa for that. Any kids watching.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pressure.
That really devastating story. I don't know if you read it, but the guy, they messed up his universal credit. He only had like £4 left in his bank. Yeah. And he was a single father and couldn't support his kids, and unfortunately took his life. Yeah. You know, it's
very sad case.
It's when you see stories like that, you're like, you realize how lucky you are just to be in a position where that's not even an option.
Doing this job gives me a real sense of no matter how bad the stuff in my life is, I can still go home.
Yeah.
I can still leave that. Somebody else's pain, and that gives me a very privileged place to be there to share somebody else's pain. You know, you do hear that. It gives you a real sense of what's really important in life. You know, so I tend not to get tied up in the trivial stuff, on the overly dramatic stuff that people kind of get, and have a go, man, there's bigger stuff in life to worry about. Yeah. Don't stress about that. It's not because I'm all chilled and all relaxed or all zen, you know. It's because I see on a daily basis how much pain people can really be in, and it gives me a real sense of, wow, there is a lot of pain out there.
Yeah.
And it gives me a huge sense of being privileged, not just to be able to sit and share that pain with someone, because sometimes when a person comes to counselling, it's the first time they've actually shared it with anybody. They might have bottled that up for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and they're coming into you and they're sharing that. And you have to be switched on. You have to be super focused, because you don't want to miss that. As I go back to the suicide work, you have to give your full attention for that space of time.
Yeah.
Because if you miss something...
Yeah, it's the difference between life and death for that person.
Yeah, I don't want to be over-dramatic about it. But potentially. Because they could give you an indicator through the session. And if we look at the ASSIST model, the Applied Suicide Intervention Skills Training model, there's always invitations. Yeah. And it's the ASSIST can be done by anybody, folks. So sign up, go on the PIPS website, and there's training comes up every couple of months. PIPS are fantastic. By the way, they're a suicide prevention organisation. And they provide that training free every couple of months. And anybody can do it. It's about hearing the invitation. So somebody comes in, even on a day, comes into your work, comes to my work, go, you know what, I've had enough. Just can't take it anymore. And how many times do we hear that sometimes? I'm pissed off.
Aye.
You know?
Yeah, the hell with this.
But it's asking the question, are you telling me you're going to take your own life? Are you telling me you're thinking of dying? And that can be a bloody hard question to ask someone.
Yeah. I can't ever imagine me actually saying those words to someone.
It's about clarifying it.
Yeah.
It's about going, especially if I'm hearing it in a session. But these can be things we hear on a daily basis from friends and family.
Yeah.
When somebody comes in and says, you know what, I've had enough. Now, it's about clarifying. It's not always jumping and go,
you're not jumping right in.
Yeah. It's about going, well, what do you mean by that? Instead of going, I know, I've had a tough day too.
Yeah.
It's going, sorry, what do you mean by that? What
are
you telling me?
That's the natural reaction, is always to try and sympathise.
You think you've had it bad? You should hear about my day.
You know, you think your day was bad. Would you hear what happened to me? Yeah. You know, I think is the natural reaction for everyone. But where can people find that information?
That'll be on the PIPS website.
Make sure you get me to link that
I'll send
below.
you a link and put it up. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, but Aware as well. Aware. They used to be called Aware Defeat Depression. Now it's just Aware. Loads of information on the Aware website. They are fantastic.
Yeah.
And they do so much support. They have group work in nearly every town where they support people who have depression and anxiety as well.
Because, I lost my father to suicide. Okay. And there was literally no sign at all.
Yeah.
Before that. But looking back, there was.
Yeah.
You know, it was such a shock at the time, because obviously it's a terrible, terrible thing to happen. But then you think back, there was those moments in conversation where you think, well, that meant a lot more now than it did then. Yeah. And I think it is very important for people to understand that maybe those aren't throwaway comments. And what you that's the first time I've ever heard somebody say that, you know, you should be looking out for these things. And I think that's very, very important.
Yeah.
You know, like the first thing I do when this finishes is go and look up that website.
Yeah, please
and look at those things.
Yeah, and that's great you shared that with the people here as well, that you have been bereaved with suicide. I mean, that's a dramatic bereavement.
Oh yeah, it's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that seems to be getting worse.
Yeah.
You know, the suicide rates don't seem to be dropping.
No, I think the last suicide rate that I've seen, I think for 2017, was about 305 for the year.
Like that's
crazy.
That's just for Northern Ireland, is it?
That's just for Northern Ireland, yeah.
Like that's incredible.
If you think of presentations at A&E, 70% of those for suicidal or suicidal injuries, alcohol's involved.
Right.
You know, so it's
alcohol's a depressant, isn't it?
It is a depressant. Yeah. It also lowers inhibitions. So we'll do things with alcohol we would not do when we're sober.
Yeah.
So it's as maybe think, you know, if I do this, you know, it's going to be okay. I mean, I've taken loads of risky behaviours when I've been under the influence of alcohol.
Oh yeah,
you know.
I've been there.
Yeah,
I've been there. I crashed my car into a field one night because things were bad, and I just lost my mum, and I'd lost a partner that we were engaged, and things didn't work out. I lost my mum, and just like everything else in my life was going fantastically well.
Yeah,
my singing career had taken off, and just one evening it was just everything. I couldn't see the wood for the trees.
Yeah,
you know, and thankfully I walked away from it, and it was actually how I walked away injury free is a miracle. You know, and it was that walking away from that was the clarification of you don't need to do that, you know. But going back, talking to somebody, like it's not only my father I've lost through suicide. I've lost a lot of friends. Like 6 months prior to losing my father, I lost a fella who actually started me singing in the town.
Man.
You know, and that was a massive shocker because we hadn't been in touch for a long time,
it's a
and
huge loss.
Didn't know he was actually suffering from any mental health illness. You know, and it's crazy how much you don't know.
We can be very good at hiding it.
Yeah,
we can be very good at putting the mask on. I know there was a Ask Frank or Talk to Frank advert out a few years ago.
Yes,
where the guy's out partying and he comes into the house and he pulls off the false face, and the happy face is hung up.
Yeah,
and he's a sad face. And there's so much we do hide, man. So much pain in your own life as well.
Yeah, but I think there's so much pain in everyone's life.
Yeah,
you know, and I think I'm not sure if it was always like this, because I think we always look back nostalgically to the past. I think
glory days.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
And I think with social media now, because there's so many like photos bandied about of like the Frank thing and people and all these really descriptive pictures being put out and how men should talk and all the rest of it. I think, in my opinion, that it's starting to become overlooked. You know, all this advice, because it's just regurgitated. Yeah. You know, I don't know if people are putting it up for likes or whatever, but I think sometimes it's just glossing over the surface.
Yeah, and sometimes that less is more.
Where you're telling me about something that you can actually go and look at, and it might give you an indication that somebody needs help.
Yeah. It'll give you the skills and the tools to manage that situation. Now, it's not going to train you as a therapist.
No.
But it's almost like a little bit of first aid. It'll help you assess the situation. What is this person's story?
Yeah.
And also let you listen to that person who's maybe giving you the invitation to talk about how they're feeling, and get them to a safe place, and also disable any maybe possible suicide plan they might have.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's just about being heard. Are you telling me you're going to kill yourself? So when I would say that to a client, it lets them know I've heard them.
Yeah. You're not saying it for shock value to try and get a reaction out of them.
It lets them know, wow, this person has heard me. And that's a yes or no answer. So there's no wishy-washiness. Instead of going, well, it sounds to me like you're getting a bit tough.
Yes.
You know, it's going, are you telling me you're going to die by suicide? Are you telling me you're going to take your own life?
Yeah.
It's a yes or no answer. So if the answer is yes, then we have a procedure to follow to make sure that person is safe.
Yeah.
If the answer no, the answer no. At least they're clarified.
Yes.
You know exactly where they're at. But if the answer is yes, then we put a safety plan in place and we follow up on our procedure. So we do a risk assessment. How high is the risk of this person will actually be going home to complete suicide? Do you have the means? Do you have the stuff they're going to do? Have they made a plan? Is there a history of attempts?
Yeah.
So if the answer is yes to all that, then your risk level goes up. And then you have to make the appropriate decision.
What do you think brings a lot of people there? Is it anxiety or depression, or is it a mix of both? Or
it can be a mix of both. There's so many different reasons that will bring a person to therapy, whether it's relationship, whether it's work stress, whether it's finances, whether it's adverse childhood experiences, whether it's trauma, sexual trauma, abuse, whether it's alcoholism, drug use. So many different things that may bring a person to my door. So it's up to me to do a comprehensive assessment to find out, well, why are they there? And why are they doing what they're doing? Because there's a reason behind everything.
yes,
No matter what, there's a reason behind why you're doing these podcasts.
yeah,
There's a reason why I'm sitting here doing this podcast with you. There's a reason why I'm a counsellor. There's a reason behind everything we do. So there's a reason why a person is feeling anxious. There's a reason why a person is feeling depressed. There's a reason why a person is feeling suicidal.
yes,
And if we can talk to that person, if we can understand, if we can listen, it might give them a different perspective on things.
yeah.
Did that answer any of your questions?
It did. It did.
Because we've ranged around a fair few topics.
Yeah, we have. You know,
Yeah.
this is a podcast going to be a very general,
As you can see.
general look at mental health. We're not going to go into any great specifics. Niall has recommended a few other counsellors that do deal in specific mental health areas, and hopefully they'll be on future episodes. So if there's a topic you want us to cover, drop me an email, drop me a text. Doesn't have to be on a public forum, because as with mental health, it's a very delicate subject, and you don't want to air your grievances or anything out in public, you know, because I know for a long time it's hard. It's really hard to talk. And like, for someone who's sitting at home now and thinking, I'm going through some stuff, it's really getting to me. Oh, what do I do? I don't want to talk to my doctor. I don't want to talk to my friends. What would your advice be?
If you don't want to talk to your GP, generally, if a person comes to me and we do that assessment and it's identified they have a complex mental health issue, so I would use a PHQ-9, which is a Patient Health Questionnaire 9, looks for signs and symptoms of depression. I'm not a clinician. I cannot diagnose someone with a mental health issue, but I can look at the signs and symptoms and say, well, it's highly likely you have this, so I would suggest you go to your GP.
Okay.
Same with the anxiety. So we use the GAD-7, General Anxiety Disorder 7. You can get apps for these and download them yourself if you want to do your own scores. If a person doesn't want to go to their GP, and there's loads of reasons why, because they don't want that maybe on their medical history.
Yeah, yeah.
Or maybe they don't want medication, which is fine too. It's up to them. It's their call. And if they don't want to talk to friends or family, then they can access confidential support. And counselling is confidential. No matter what that person says to me in that session, it will not leave the room. Well, I'm just going to counter that by saying unless they tell me they're going to harm themselves or someone else.
Yes.
So if they're telling me they're at risk, then I will be saying, look, I do need to break this confidentiality, and this is who I will be informing. And it's usually a next of kin, safety contact, or their GP. A couple of other occasions, anything on the Prevention of Terrorism Act or Drug Trafficking Act.
Okay.
That's when I break confidentiality. Everything else remains in the room. So if they're coming in saying, I hate my boss, I hate Aiden, I hate that, that's okay. We'll listen to that.
Yeah.
That will not be broken. And if I need, or if any therapist needs to break confidentiality, they will, I know I will, and they should inform the counsellor or the client first. So that person will not be leaving the room thinking,
oh, is he going to say something?
I've smoked a couple of joints at the weekend. Is Niall going to go and phone the police? You know,
Yes.
If I did that to every client, I probably would have known.
Yeah. You'd be down the Dole office.
I'd be going to talk to somebody about it. So everything remains confidential and safe in that room, unless that person is at risk. So to access that support, I mean, there's loads of different agencies that provide it myself. Again, it's dependent on what the issue is.
Yeah.
So sometimes you may have to go for a consultation or an assessment to identify specifically what is going on.
Yeah.
And a trained therapist will hopefully be able to pinpoint and say, well, look, It's anxiety, we can work with that. It's depression, we can work with that. It's trauma, you might need this support.
Okay.
It's something more complex. It's abuse. You may need this support.
Yes.
Or if the person is trained, then they can say, well, I can work with you over a number of weeks.
Yes.
And we'll see what we can do here.
So there's ways of self-assessing through apps and through online questionnaires and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I'm always hesitant of the whole Dr. Google stuff and Googling things. But if you want to look at your kind of well-being, have a go at the GAD-7 and the PHQ-9.
Yeah.
But if you have concerns, please talk to someone who's trained in doing those assessments. Don't look at it and go, shit, I have a high score there. You could be having a bad couple of weeks. So anybody who's prone to depression will be feeling low for more than 2 weeks. We all get bad days.
Yeah.
We all get crappy days. And it's okay, again, back to cycle against suicide, it's okay not to feel okay. The days we're on top of the world, and there's other days we're down in the dumps. Mm-hmm. But they don't last forever. And if you take it on a kind of a table, so you've got 3 lines. Our middle line is we call it, for want of a better term, our normal mood. So it's the kind of day-to-day stuff. We're at work, we're zooming along, nothing much bothering us. We get out of work, hey, we're happy. Yeah. We have to go back to work next day, we feel down. So we go up and down. And again, it's okay not to feel okay. And it's normal to get those highs, and it's normal to get those lows. But if the lows are sustained over more than 2 weeks, it could be depression. So that's the point. It's about starting to go and look for it. Okay. And we all have mental health problems. You have them, and I have them. And every one of our listeners or viewers have a mental health problem. We all get a bit stressed.
No one's immune.
No one's escaping this thing.
Yeah.
No one's getting out of it.
Yeah.
We're all prone to stress or anxiety or worry or feeling down.
Yeah.
But if we don't do the things we need to do, such as the exercise, the food, talking to someone, getting support, looking after ourselves, it can develop into a mental health issue.
Yeah.
So we need to look after ourselves on a daily basis, basically.
Yeah. It's very easy not to.
It is.
Very easy not to.
And then the more we don't do it, it's like that kinetic energy.
Yeah,
the more we don't do it, the more it becomes normalized. And then we go into the destructive behaviors because our thoughts are so low or so negative. I'm useless. I can't do this. I'll never succeed. So we start feeling more and more down. Our physical body responds as well because we get noises.
Yes.
Tense shoulders.
Oh, yeah.
No appetite. No motivation. Maybe overly tired. And then our behaviour is affected. So we may take a stimulant, coffee.
Yeah.
We may take a depressant. And if you take a drink, yes, you'll get a buzz from it and it will help you in the short term. But long term, it's destructive because you need more and more to get the same effect. So then you start building up a tolerance to it. So those 1 or 2 glasses of wine that chill you out, you may need 3, you may need 4, you may need the bottle.
Right.
And then becomes a bigger issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's another snowballing issue into, oh dear.
Yeah. And then that has an impact on social life as well. Because your finances are affected, your job may be affected, your relationships may be affected, family may be affected, criminal records.
Yeah.
It's a big area.
It is. It's a massive, and I don't think we'll be able to cover
anywhere
near.
But hopefully we'll have a guy coming in to talk specifically about addictions.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic.
But back to seeking help and support, because I know I ranged off that topic slightly.
Yeah.
But there's loads of different agencies out there. There's people like myself, the Louis, as I mentioned.
What about, do you ever see those online ones? Online counsellors?
I see them.
Yeah. Would that be something you'd recommend, or?
Well, why not?
Okay.
Absolutely, why not? Especially for people who are maybe finding it difficult to get out of the house.
Yeah.
People with depression who are finding that really low, motivated to get out. Now, don't get me wrong, it is always better to leave the environment that you're not feeling well in.
Yeah.
I think the other one that was going about is how can you get better if you're in the environment you got ill in. So sometimes you have to leave it, but sometimes it's too difficult for that person to leave that because that's their safe place.
Yeah.
That's their comfort zone. So if they can access support online, by all means.
Yeah, because a lot of people's lives are online now.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just a natural thing to go, how do I fix this?
Yeah.
How do I WebMD myself and get better?
But if they're getting the right support online,
that's
fantastic. I mean, there's loads of different agencies. You can contact myself through Facebook if you want to send a message. And it's quite anonymous as well.
Yeah.
You know, and it might be good for young people if they want to reach out on a safe platform. Now, you have to make sure the platform is safe and it's appropriate for young people to be able to access, because, you know, the internet is a scary world out there.
It's a crazy place.
But there's loads of organisations that do actually enable young people to get support online in a very safe and supported environment.
It's just, I happened to see on, what was that one? It was on Reddit.
Yeah.
And it was like a sponsored, post at the top, and it was like, "Are you feeling okay?" I was like, what the hell is this? Yeah. I was like, if you're feeling down, come and talk to a counsellor. It's right here for you. And these must be like a Skype one-on-one kind of conversations happen. I didn't use it, but I looked at it and went, somebody's doing this right. Yeah. Because I know myself, like when I was at my lowest points, the last thing I wanted to do was reach out to a counsellor. I didn't want to sit in a room with somebody that I didn't know and talk to them. But
the beauty of that is they don't know you.
Yeah.
You won't meet them down Tesco's. You won't meet them around the family table. You won't have to go, oh shit, what did I say to that person? I'm going to be embarrassed.
They're going to see me and what are they going to think?
Yeah, they're going to judge me. And plus, when you come to a therapist, you won't get that person's opinion. So if you're telling me you're feeling down and stressed or annoyed, I'm going, you know what I did? You know what worked for me? And I love to go for a hike, or I love to go for a pint, or whatever it was. That'll sort you right out. You won't get that.
Yeah.
And you won't get that from a professional. They'll try to understand from your perspective what will be the right thing for you. Because only you know, only the client knows what's going to be right for them. Yeah. They may not be able to see it. They may not be able to fully understand that moment. But if you get the right therapist, they can unlock that. And they can work with you till you find the thing that's going to be good for you.
And say if someone is seeking counselling and it's not working for them, should they seek a different counsellor or should they power through? What would your advice be?
It really depends on what the issue is and if the therapist is right for you, because it's a two-way relationship, and it takes time to establish that trust.
Yeah,
you're going to come into somebody you don't know. Not all my clients come in the first session and just go whoosh, throw it all out.
Yeah,
it takes time. It's like any relationship. It takes time to build that rapport, that trust, that warmth. For that person to be able to actually say the stuff that's been on their mind for months, for years. So it will be difficult. Sessions can be very heavy, can be very, very emotional. That's why every therapist should really have tissues in the room, because at some point that client may or most likely will break down and shed the tears.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Because it's so good to cry. Because it's cathartic, it's a release.
Yeah.
It's a body getting rid of it. And we need to get that out of the system. So again, it's like a box of tissues. If you don't take stuff out, how can you put back in? Yeah.
That's because I know a lot of people, it's getting over that initial hurdle of what do I do?
It takes courage.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of strength to be able to come to my door or any therapist door. And I always kind of recognize that on the first session. But their healing didn't start by entering a therapy room. Their healing started when they started looking for help, or when they lifted the phone, or when they went onto the web and Googled counsellors in Cookstown and counsellors Dungannon. That's when their healing started, before they come to us.
Yeah.
We hopefully can speed that along and help them make the most of that.
Yeah.
But their healing started when they realised, or they admitted it, or they owned up, or whatever it is, I need help. And this is what I'm going to do. Because you have different stages.
Yeah.
You have a pre-contemplation stage where the person has no clue what's going on. They're happy. It could be a person using drugs or alcohol. Happy user. They're getting stoned. They're getting hammered at the weekend. Life is good. But then you get the contemplation stage. And that's like a seesaw. Do I have a problem? No, I don't have a problem. Yes, I do have a problem. No, I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
And then it goes into the planning stage. So they come in and they start making a plan. And that's when they start seeking out help. And then it's the action stage where they put that plan into place and hopefully get to maintenance. Yeah.
So if someone is in the contemplation stage, is that the stage where they should just go, right, I need to get help?
Again, it depends on the person. I don't want to just say, yeah, they should go. Yeah. They have to weigh it up. But they also have to realise, yes, I have an issue.
Yeah.
And that's about, there's a sense of humility there, saying, actually, you know what, I can't deal with this myself. And to speak as a man, and I'm only going to speak about myself, I'm going to speak about all men, sometimes we find that hard to go, I need help.
Yeah.
I have to reach out here, because we have this image that we need to be all tough and masculine. You know what? I got this.
Well, I think thankfully younger men aren't like that anymore. Yeah.
There's still a
I
hesitancy.
think there's a hesitancy, but specifically older men. Like, I've done a lot of country singing, and you meet a lot of older gentlemen.
Yeah.
And you just know there's a facade. You can tell when someone's hurting, you know, when they're speaking to you. Especially if they're talking about maybe they've lost their wife or something, and they just wall up. You know, the wall goes straight up. I find that more with older men than I do with younger men.
Okay.
Well, that's just in my personal experience. Yeah. That younger men, thankfully, are seeing now that there's options out there to get help. You know, if you're having a crappy time, there's a way to deal with it now. Yeah. It's not shove it all down and hope for the best. Where generations ago it was like in this country, people were more worried about not getting blown up when they went outside, as opposed to
we had something else to focus on.
Why am I not feeling right? You know, and I think a lot of older men have that bigger issue, and I think those guys somebody needs to talk to those guys.
Yeah,
you know, because like my dad was 50, you know. From that generation of, I'll be all right. Be all right. Don't worry about it.
Get on with
it. Be all right.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. It wasn't all right. It's definitely not all right.
No.
And the devastation that leaves behind is astronomical. It is crazy. Hopefully, if you're listening to this, hopefully you never have to go through this or understand the feeling of losing someone to suicide, but there's so many unknowns.
Yeah.
You know, even if there's a goodbye message, it still doesn't answer your questions. You know, all the what ifs. What if I had just done this? You know, what if I'd done that? You know,
and the coulda, woulda, shoulda's.
Yeah, and all that leaves behind.
That's the trauma.
Yeah, massively. You go from having someone in your life to not having them in your life anymore, and it sucks. So definitely look out for your people. You know, if people around you, if you're talking to them, go onto that website that Niall was talking about and look for the signs. You know, they mightn't be there. You know, people might be fine, but it's better to know. It's definitely better to know than to lose somebody. That's my advice anyway.
Yeah. And it's great advice, because if you're asking, at least you're showing an interest.
Yeah.
You're caring enough to go, you know what, I'm taking a moment here.
Yeah.
And we are all so busy in our lives.
Yeah.
That sometimes we do miss that.
Massively.
But you're speaking about the older generation bottling stuff up and closing it down. And that's hard.
Yeah. Like, as I do think back to some conversations I had with my dad, and I'm just like, certain sentences, and I'm going, it was right there. Yeah. It was right there. You know, and I was too busy with my shit to have heard. Well, I heard it obviously, but to digest what was actually going on with him. You know, and especially because of my dad, you think of your father and you think of a fucking superhero. Yeah. You know, you don't think of him being a person who has complex emotions just like you. You know, so like it's so important. You know, I think, especially for people that are older than you, that you have respect for, you know, to think of them like yourself, you know, and to be aware of that and to look out for those things, because we're all the same. When you scratch the surface, we're all just big bags of meat, you know,
emotional bags of meat.
Big emotional bags of meat.
Even to add to that, I always try to be very quite honest with my son as he's grown up and show my emotional side, and I've cried loads of times in front of him. Yeah, you know, and I'm glad I did. Yeah, because it's normalised it, and it's not. We do look up at parents who are meant to be this strong. If you look at the movie The Incredibles, they got it really spot on, didn't they? Where the dad was meant to be this really strong, kind of, and mum was elastic girl all over the place, being stretched. But we need to be, us men, need to be more open with ourselves and how we feel. Yeah, and if we use a simple conversation starter like, I feel. add the emotion in, and add why. I feel upset because. I feel annoyed because. I feel hurt because. So instead of me going, Aiden, you're pissing me off, you're hurting me, you're stressing me out.
Why? Why am I doing that?
Yeah. But you always get into an argument. No, I'm not.
Aye. You go in the defensive.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Instead of going, you know what, I'm feeling a little bit annoyed.
Yeah.
I'm feeling hurt. And this is why.
There's a lack of communication, essentially.
Basically, yeah. And it's communication skills, so it's being in front of a therapist and them being attentive and active listening and reflecting and eye contact and all that, but also being an effective communicator, being able to say how we feel. And yes, we are getting better. Young men are certainly getting better. But again, there's a blockage as well, being able to say how we feel. Sometimes we'll say, I feel annoyed. And that's a feeling.
Yeah.
But it's, what's the thought? Why are we annoyed? Because if a thought is a short sentence, a feeling is one word. So I'm annoyed is a feeling. But I'm annoyed because this situation is really stressing me out.
Yeah.
There's a thought process. So if I look at the situation differently, that feeling will be different as well. So our thoughts empower feelings, physical responses, behaviors. And if that's negative, that's into a vicious circle. Yeah. And it's unhelpful. But you have the power to change it. Yeah. You can take control, change your thought, you will change everything else.
And everyone does have the power to change it.
Absolutely. Everybody has a choice. Everybody's in control of what they think. Even the anxious thoughts, even the anxiety. If you think there's maybe 1 million or 1,000 thoughts coming into our heads on a daily basis, like listen to the wind in the trees. The wind's always there. But sometimes we hear it and sometimes we don't. And that's like our thoughts. Sometimes they get through, sometimes they don't. And it's the ones that are getting through are mostly lies. There's no substance to them. And there's maybe one little grain of truth in that.
Yeah.
But 99% of the time, it's all bullshit. And all the stuff we're telling ourselves, there's no substance to it. So we actually need to look at the evidence. Where is the truth for this? A therapist will help you. Yeah. But even a good trusted friend, you don't always have to go to a therapist. If you have a good friend that you can talk to, you can open up to, you can share how you're feeling with, and they can listen to you. You don't always need therapy. I'm not trying to do myself out of a job.
Well, Niall, we're in about an hour and 15 minutes. So
just keep on trucking.
I don't want to keep you too late because I know you've a lot of stuff on. So we have a tradition in the podcast where we
I have watched them,
where we wrap things up with the 10 actor studio questions. But
you've had actors on also far.
Yeah, you're also an actor, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want
to tell me more?
Hesitantly. Well, currently we're rehearsing for Spectacular. It's going to be in the Bernavon 4th to 7th of September. So please get on to Star Maker Theatre Group NI and book your tickets because it's going to be spectacular.
It's a musical.
It is a musical, and you're in it too. As Bernie Ziegler?
I don't know. I'm in it. I just don't know what I'm doing.
I've been into the acting and drama for the last 3 or 4 years now, and that's where I met this very nice man.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
Well, tell me this: do you think drama and the arts is a good outlet for people that are suffering with mental health issues?
Absolutely. Thankfully, through Dunleary Management, they've been very supportive in my role. Working with young people to look at 2 separate projects, working with the arts and working with crafting, and one of them was the Articulate Create project, where we got a group of young people in and we were able to sand cast with them, do wool wrapping, make wax figures with them. And they were able to express and explore themes of mental health, anxiety, depression, but also substance use through these creative arts. And at the end of it, we had an exhibition for them. And with the local council, local mayor came along, the guys from PHA, the Arts Council came along, and we had a celebration event where they showcased their talents. And these are like 12, 13-year-olds. And they were so involved in it, man. They were just in there doing it. We've also recently, almost wrapping up, it's called the Story Spinner Project.
Yeah.
Story Spinners online, storyspinner.net, if you want to have a look at that. It's one of the first actually in the north. It was pioneered in England, and it's been brought over here by ourselves for this project, working 2 groups of young people, one in Portadown, one in Armagh, where they actually create a book They create a fictional story, but again, tying around themes of emotional well-being. And at the end of that process, they're going to get their book printed.
Oh, fantastic.
And handed home with their name as co-authors
of the
amazing. Story. So we talked earlier about everything's online.
Yeah.
This is something they have to keep.
Something tangible.
And they can look at it and go, you know what? I did that at the age of 13.
That's incredible.
And hopefully build on that. Hopefully that encourages. And there's some fantastic, some creative young people out there.
Yeah.
Getting into drama has really helped me actually process some of the head stuff. Because this job, I'm very much up here.
Of course.
90% of my time. So getting into the acting, into the theatre, it brings me into my body. And it allows me to kind of get some of that energy out.
Fantastic.
So for me, this is a little bit of self-care, a bit of personal therapy where I can come in and have fun being a different character.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just mad to go out on stage and go,
yeah.
and do something completely different, you know, and just really have loads of fun. Plus you meet so many nice people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm amazing. I probably haven't told you that yet.
But any of the crews, any of the cast that have been in, they've all been fantastic.
Yeah.
And they really, I don't use that cliche, I'll come part as a family, but you do.
No, you really do. See, unless you've been in a show or a production, because sometimes it gets squeaky bum time, like, and you all have to just get together and make it work.
Yeah.
You know, and
but you talk about
is
anxiety. I remember my first time going on stage just for a little piece. It was a dog, and the curious incident of the dog in the nighttime. I was that anxious. I had my lines on a tray in front of me, and it was so obvious I was reading off the of the lines. But that was my anxiety.
Yeah,
that was my thoughts that I'm going to forget my lines. I'm going to screw this up. Until where I'm able to go on stage now and not have a script near me and just go in and belt it out.
So anxiety is a very normal emotion to have.
Wow. The first time going on, even the next production, I think it was the Panto Willy Wonka. I was behind that set. I wanted to throw up. I was hoping I would break a leg or have a heart attack. I swear to God, I did not want to go on that stage. Yeah. On the next thing, the chime of the clock and the door opened and I had to step out.
Yeah.
But you know what? It quickly subsided. And the more I did it, the more I became desensitized, because there was that old thing.
Yeah.
Success breeds success. I got better at it. It got easier. I still get anxious.
Yeah.
I still get on the side of those wings and I'm in palpitations.
Yeah.
And have I all my pieces here? Am I all there? Am I ready to go?
Yeah.
There's the last one we did, The Greatest Show, there's a scene where a flash goes off.
Yes.
I thought that was the fire scene. I almost ran on shouting fire. You were in the middle of a kiss.
Oh yeah, Let's not remind my wife of the kiss I had.
It was a stage kiss.
It was a stage kiss. No, we actually cut our lips off. We had no lips. Now, before we wrap things up, is there any places you want to send people if they're having difficulties? Any places, websites, or stuff like that you want to?
There's tons of support out there, guys. And again, it's going to be specific to whatever issue you're facing. If it's addictions, Dunleary Addiction Services. If gambling, Dunleary has the All Ireland Gambling Service. You know, so it covers the whole of the island of Ireland for the gambling service. You know,
brilliant.
You know, for depression, anxiety, for information, PIPs for suicide support. You've got Northern Association of Mental Health. You've got loads and tons of places, man. But what we'll do, I'll send you loads of links, loads of resources that you can post up as well. Because now that you've asked me the question, it's gone blank.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But all the information will be below. If you go down to the comment section or whatever, I'll get as much of it in as I can. And failing that, go to the Facebook page. I will do an extensive post. I think that'd probably be better. We'll get a lot more information. If you're suffering with a specific thing and you want to get help, there'll be a place for you to go. And
feel free to get in contact. Send me a message. Give me a call. And if I can't support you, I'll hopefully be able to signpost you into somewhere that can.
Fantastic.
You know,
brilliant.
Yeah.
Now, let's do these 10 questions, and then I'm gonna let you go, man. It feels so strange to do these lighthearted questions after having such a very taxing kind of very deep and meaningful conversation. But let's shake it out. Let's do these things.
It's good.
So you've watched Inside the Actor Studio before?
No.
You haven't?
No.
Oh man, Go to YouTube and watch it.
I will.
It's where a famous actor will come into a drama school.
Yeah.
And all the students are sitting in the auditorium, and James Lipton interviews the actor, and then the students can ask questions. But it always finishes with these 10 questions. So here's question number 1.
Brilliant.
What is your favorite word?
I think it has to be warmth.
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 That's a nice one.
Yeah. I know it's maybe a bit wishy-washy, but it works on so many different levels for me.
It doesn't have to be anything. This is your favorite word.
Okay, it's my favorite word.
What is your least favorite word? Cold?
No. I think war.
War?
Yeah.
What, the actual action of war or the word?
I think the action of it.
Yeah.
But, there's no, even what's associated with the word war. It's all that pain, trauma, loss, all that goes with that. All the misunderstandings.
Yes.
I detest it almost. People, there's loads of different words out there, the swear words and stuff like that. They don't mean that much. But something like war, it carries a real resonance or a real heaviness or a real kind of, I don't know, just something, I don't like it.
Cool. Number 3. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Oh, wow. Comedy. I love laughter. As you know, with my extensive list of puns.
Oh, yeah.
But the vibrancy of being in a new production.
Yeah.
Learning a new character, learning that role, trying to inhabit that world. I get a real sense of that. Creating new creative projects, especially the ones I've spoken about there, getting in on that and seeing people develop, not just young people, but any person kind of being able to come out of themselves. Fantastic. And even lift their head off the floor and look up and see what's out there. That gets me going. That gives me a buzz.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So the opposite of that then would be what turns you off?
I think negativity and people being overly negative just because maybe, well, obviously they have reasons for that, but when they start to stifle somebody else's creativity, the online trolls and stuff like that, they try to bring people down just because they can, and there's no call for that. No, if someone's out there showing that spark of creativity, that energy, and wanting to raise themselves up, because it's not easy to stand up these days and put yourself out there, because if you do something wrong, they will vilify you for it.
Oh yeah, even if you're doing something right, they'll still
they'll still have a go at you for
it.
So it takes so much strength and courage, and I think those people out there kind of stifle that a bit, and that really, really pisses me off.
Number 5, my personal favorite. What's your favorite curse word?
Oh, wow. I actually, you know me, and you I come out with these different accents.
Yes.
So it's the German for shit, basically. So scheißen. You will, if something's going wrong, sometimes you'll be scheißen. So I shouldn't shout into that, but I will be. Well, that's probably my favorite one.
Brilliant.
I don't even pronouncing it right.
It's like every any word can be a curse word as long as it's used with that vibrancy, I'm gonna say.
But curse words are cathartic,
yeah.
Cathartic.
Oh, massively.
There's a good release when we use a curse
massively
word.
You throw an old F-bomb out there and it just
hits
the spot.
Right a bit of attention.
What sound or noise do you love?
I think it really has to be the wind in the trees. And I know when I'm sitting in my office, especially in the counselling room, and it's really good weather, and the windows open, the doors open, and I can just hear the breeze.
Yeah.
And I know in the office in Portadown there's a Victorian garden at the back, and even sitting out there with the client, it's just fantastic. It's just that sense of it is mindfulness, because we're thinking of the noise. We're not thinking about all the thoughts, all the stuff we have to do. We're here in the moment. So I think it's that sound. But there's loads. But when I'm out hiking, it's the rivers, it's the streams, it's the crunch of the gravel underneath my foot. It's all those things. But I think the wind and the leaves.
So the opposite of that then. What sound or noise do you hate?
I'm probably not good with silence. I'm not good with silence. Because then all those thoughts creep in.
Yeah.
Yeah. or somebody's taking my last biscuit out of me. The sound of an empty tin box. Oh, just the wrappers in it.
What profession, other than your own, would you like to attempt?
Oh, see, I have a great question to ask clients sometimes. If there's something, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail at it? You know, and I think as a kid, I really did want to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to be an astronaut, but I love sci-fi stuff, you know. So.
Well, what about now? Now it is...
Probably still want to be an astronaut.
Still an astronaut. Brilliant. So what job would you definitely not like to do?
I definitely wouldn't want to go back to construction again.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely would not. But don't get me wrong, I love DIY. And I love building around the house, and every summer you'll find me doing something around the house. So I love that aspect of it, and I love all construction taught me. So I'm trying to take the helpful out of what wasn't pleasant.
Take the good out of the bad.
Yeah, because I got a lot of skills from that. Mm-hmm. And no offense to any construction workers out there, but I don't think I could step back into that.
Okay. Our final question before I let you go.
No pressure.
If heaven exists,
what
would you like to hear God say to you when you reach the pearly gates?
Oh, you've had a hell of a life.
Brilliant.
Good on you. I don't know. I don't want to get into something too deep. Yep. I think you would go, give me 5, big man. Or give me a hug. Because you know me.
Yeah,
I'm a hugger.
You're a huggy guy.
So hopefully he'll go, I don't want anyone to speak to me. Just go, give me the hands. Come on.
Brilliant.
Get up close.
Well, Niall, thanks so much for joining us.
It's been fantastic. Thank you.
Folks, if you are sitting at home and you're feeling, like, even if you're not feeling too great or too bad, look after yourself. Really, really take that time to look after yourself, because no one's going to reach out and do it for you. They're really not. Unless you have a phenomenal support structure underneath you, which a lot of us don't have. So take that time to look after yourself. If you need help, just go and get it. Don't hesitate about it. Don't let things get worse. The support's out there. It really, really is. And just, I cannot stress that enough. You are so totally worth it. Go and get yourself help if you need it. If you don't, fantastic. Thanks so much for joining and listening. If you know someone that needs help, try your best to help them out. Do what you can. Niall is going to give us a load of information to look up. So, all the best, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Bye.
You've been listening to Educating Aiden. But the conversation doesn't stop here. If you have any questions or just want to find out about upcoming episodes, then follow Educating Aiden on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Like and subscribe on YouTube, and hit that notification bell. Thanks for listening.